Varsity Club, welcome back to another classic video. Today we're looking at the career of Trevor Lawrence, and it's going to be a crazy one. Look, if you don't know who Trevor Lawrence is, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but he is the quarterback for Clemson. He's been there for what, 3-4 years now. He has been the consensus #1 overall draft pick for this draft since basically last year. Unless Trevor Lawrence came out and basically said, I'm retiring from football, he's going to be drafted by whichever team ended up getting the #1 overall pick. But today, at the time of this recording, we have found out that the Jacksonville Jaguars have the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. I know Jets fans, it sucks, but look, maybe this is meant to be. Trevor Lawrence was born in Tennessee. He played his high school football in Georgia. He went to play for Clemson in South Carolina. And then now he's got an opportunity to more than likely be drafted by the Jaguars, #1 overall, and be not too far from home. Does that really matter? No, but Jets fans, I'm trying to make you feel a little bit better. Sorry. So for the purpose of today's video, I need you guys to do me a little bit of a favor. Leave me a thumbs up on the video, subscribe if you haven't, and tell me your favorite thing about Trevor Lawrence, or if you think he's not going to be a great quarterback, tell me why in the comments. I want to know why. So as we jump in and look at the career of Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars, 78 overall, first overall pick, 96 throw power, 80 deep accuracy, 87 medium, 90 short, throw around 78. Look at his speed down here, 82 speed, 87 acceleration. Shout out to the OSFX 21 draft class. I think it was made by Bald Bandit with the 1 for the last part of Bandit, but shout out to Bald Bandit for making this draft class. I'm using it, seemed pretty good, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry. This is the one I'm using. So to give you a look at what the Jaguars are going to put ultimately around Trevor Lawrence, so you got him at #1. They ended up getting Devonta Smith, a major W for them, giving him another good weapon alongside of a pretty talented receiving core when they're healthy. They get Pat Fryermuth, not I sure really how to say his name. They get Javon Holland out of Oregon. They get Liam Eichenberg out of Notre Dame. They get a right tackle with Thayer Munford. I mean, you can see they're getting some talent here. A wide receiver, a tight end. They go to defense there in the second round. A left tackle, a right tackle. Going back to tight end with Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State. They go James Wiggins, free safety. They get a running back here from Ohio State late in the 5th round. A corner and a defensive tackle. A lot of offense drafted there. They're trying to put their young, talented quarterback around there with some good players. And if you're curious what the top 5 ultimately look like here, you got Trevor Lawrence, you got Micah Parsons, Justin Fields goes to Cincinnati, which Madden is going to Madden. That's kind of weird. You see, what else? We got Jamar Chase goes to San Francisco. You got Zach Wilson going to Dallas, which is interesting because Dak is coming off that major injury. And then from a quarterback perspective, Trey Lance goes to the Washington football team, which is probably a pretty good fit for him. So to give you a look at what his team looks like overall, you've got Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback, DJ Chark Jr. is going to be your #1 wide receiver. Devonta Smith is your #2 guy. Shenault Jr. is going to be your #3 guy. And then really, Trey Quinn's going to be #4. Offensive line, it's okay. You've got Linder and Norwell, who are really good. You've got Robinson at 75, Can at 75, and then it goes down with Taylor to 72. Eifert is now his starting tight end there. He's got Mr. Robinson, who's had an incredible undrafted rookie year at your running back. And then on defense, I mean, there's some solid pieces here. Miles Jackson stud. Holland's going to come in and do pretty well, I would imagine. There's some things to be happy about there, but that defensive front outside of Allen really needs a whole lot of work. So year 1 is done. How did Trevor Lawrence and the Jags do? Well, not the #1 team in the NFL. I don't really think anybody thought they might be there. If we go to find them, they are just outside of the playoffs. They were 8-8 on the season. The Texans, I believe, won their division going at 10-6. They weren't too far off. It's a solid year, but let's see how Lawrence did. So to find Trevor Lawrence, we got to scroll down a little bit, not at like an insane amount, but he did pretty solid. 3,800 yards passing. He had 34 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, 242 yards per game. Not that bad. Sacked 27 times a game. From a touchdown perspective, again, not really that far off from the top there. I can't be super mad at what he did there. Interceptions wise, a rookie, second most in the NFL behind Matt Ryan. Some work to be done there. Now for this sim, I do want to point out he does have a superstar X factor, but I feel like most people could probably agree that if there's a player in this draft class that probably earned that, well, it's more than likely Trevor Lawrence. But looking at his abilities, he's got run and gun, he has inside deadeye, roaming deadeye, and clutch. He's got 2 more abilities to unlock, and he's not too far off from doing at least 1 more. And anyone who cares about the rushing side of things, he had 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nothing super crazy, but he did a little bit of work there. In his second year, Trevor Lawrence is up now to an 84 overall. Again, 1 away from unlocking another ability slot. Season 1 was solid. Can he get to the playoffs in his team in season 2? It's time to find out. Before we look at the season 2 results, I do want to point out he did win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Forgot to show you guys that. I'm sure someone's yelling at me in the comments about it. He won that. Okay, chill. So in season 2, Trevor Lawrence didn't have the greatest year. He was 31st in passing yards, not exactly great. He actually went down in touchdown receptions. He went down to 14 interceptions, so he progressed a little bit there, but touchdown wise, he's struggling a little bit. His running game supported him really well. James Robinson had 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. On the receiving side, Devonta Smith was his #1 guy with 7 touchdown grabs and 750 plus yards. Chark Jr. had a solid year as well, but I feel like something's not connecting there. Heading into season number 3, you can see that Trevor Lawrence is the 3rd best player on his team behind James Robinson and Myles Jack. He's not doing too bad. His new his new ability he picked up is comeback. So when playing from behind, players' ability can easily enter the zone. Okay. His team is playing from behind a lot, so let's see if he can do something here. They didn't make the playoffs the first year or the second year. What can he do in year number 3? It finally happened. Look, they're only 8-8, but Trevor Lawrence and the Jags are in the playoffs. That's big news for them. Trevor Lawrence actually improves a little bit this year. 21st in passing yards, he gets 10th in passing touchdowns, and he has single-digit interceptions for the first time in his career. The young quarterback is figuring it out. So again, around 3,800 yards passing, 33 TDs and 8 interceptions. Mariota's actually his backup now. Maybe he learned something from him a little bit. A guy that's been in the league, that was highly touted in college. He's figuring it out. James Robinson ran for 1,000 yards this year. You also see Trevor Lawrence tip in for 207 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, a career high for him. In the receiving game, Devonta Smith nearly gets 1,000 yards, 9 touchdown grabs for him. Laviska Shenault ends up with 8. You see DJ Chark go down to 1 single touchdown reception. His production is sliding, but I mean, Shenault Jr. and Devonta Smith, they're doing incredibly well. And what's even better, I think, right now for our guy Trevor Lawrence is that, okay, Tom Brady somehow is still in the NFL, but Lawrence ended up getting 7th overall in the MVP race. That's really, really good for a team to finish 8-8. So in his first real game of postseason experience, he goes 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, got sacked once, and almost had 200 yards passing, so not a ton of passing yards, but he beat Josh Allen and the Bills. That's big. Unfortunately, in the divisional round, they're going to end up losing that one by 6 points to the Indianapolis Colts. If you check the stats, he had 303 passing yards, so significantly more than before. 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, but he loses to Jameis Winston, who has 2 touchdowns, a pick, and 300 yards, but his team got the job done. Heading into season 4, Trevor Lawrence is taking a massive leap. He went, I think, from an 87 now to a 91. He is really, really coming along. Let's see what his actual abilities are. So again, run and gun, inside deadeye, roaming deadeye, clutch. Comeback, which is what he got at 85, and now hot route master has become his last one. Probably not the abilities that you want him to personally have, but I think these aren't that bad, and let's see if he can get the job done in year 4, moving past at least 1 additional round in the playoffs. In year 4, Trevor Lawrence actually makes the playoffs again, so back-to-back seasons, but has his best record in the NFL of 10-6. So his team is doing well. He still passes for 3,700 yards, goes for a lot lower in 28 touchdowns, but keeps single-digit interceptions, and he gets sacked 34 times. Not horrible, not overly crazy, but they're in the playoffs. They have the best record ever, so can't be mad at that. On the receiving side, Chark Jr. ends up being back as the #1 receiver for them, going from 1 touchdown last year to 9 this year. Devonta Smith has 6 on almost 900 yards. Shenault Jr. again. To me, this is a really good trio for him to have, and I hope that they can keep them around him for at least right now. But things didn't work out for him in the first round of the playoffs. They end up losing to the New England Patriots, and the Jags are going home early. They end up seeing Trevor Lawrence throw for 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, get sacked once. Daniel Jones, now the quarterback in New England, goes for almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, has 1 turnover because he turns over basically every game. They cannot get the job done, and they go home early yet again. Entering his 5th season right now in the NFL, Trevor Lawrence is a 94 overall. Again, still has all of his abilities right now. The kid has been having a really, really good career. 99 throw power now, deep accuracy's a 94, mediums a 97, shorts a 96. Whatever you want in a quarterback, he basically has it right now. But can he get his team to get past the 1st or 2nd round of the playoffs? This is a big season for him. I have good news. The Jags are back in the playoffs 3 years running, but they're not playing in the wild card. They made it to the divisional round because they got a box. So that's great news for them. Lawrence throws for 3,600 yards. He has 35 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He has not hit 4,000 yards passing, but I think this is probably his best season yet. You tell me. What's interesting is Deontay Hardwick actually becomes the top receiver for him. He goes into his tight end pretty much all season long. He gets 830 yards passing to him, 2 receiving touchdowns. Devonta Smith had 7 touchdown receptions on over 700 yards. Chark Jr. had 11 touchdown receptions, and then Chenault Jr. had 6. So he honestly put the ball around a lot this year, and it worked out for them a ton. So for the first time in his career, he's going to make it past the divisional round of the playoffs. They end up winning 21-9 against the Colts. To see how Lawrence actually did. 185 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, didn't throw a single pick. Jameis Winston, who took him out of the playoffs the season prior, he gets revenge. In the AFC Conference Championship, it was the Bengals versus the Jags. Imagine 5 years from now, that's what's happening. That would seem kind of crazy. But if you've got Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence here, maybe it does make sense. Lawrence goes 1 touchdown and 245 yards passing. Joe Burrow goes for 205 yards passing and 1 interception. Neither quarterback had a stellar game, to be honest, but they still ended up doing it. Robinson had 85 yards on the ground. You see Oscar Tompkins, a rookie for Jacksonville, get the lone touchdown on the ground. T. Higgins balled out. Devonta Smith only had 2 grabs, and 1 was for a touchdown. Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence are going to the Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl will be between the Washington football team and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, 5 years from now, that is wild to think about. But can Trevor Lawrence, in his first real Super Bowl appearance, can he make it happen? So this Super Bowl has come down to the wire. It is literally tied up 23-23 with 1:46 left. Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars have the ball. They're marching down the field. They're in field goal range now. And on 3rd and 7, they get a 3-yard rush, make it 4th and 4, which means they're kicking a field goal, and that's going to be good with 54 seconds left. The Washington football team, though, has the ball. They drive down. We see Larry Shaughnessy pass to Gerald Everett for 14 yards. 36 seconds left. They have 1 timeout. They're in the middle of the field. They have a little incompletion here. They've got a big pass down here with 1 timeout left to the 16-yard line to Antonio Gibson. But did they win? Trevor Lawrence and the Jags are to walk out here with the W. It was so close. They almost didn't get it. But he's got that Lombardi trophy he's always wanted. And your Super Bowl MVP is Trevor Lawrence. 312 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The kid balled out and got that W. And this is what Trevor Lawrence wanted. The Lombardi trophy and the Super Bowl MVP. It took him 5 seasons. Can he get another one? Let's go find out. Now entering season number 6, Trevor Lawrence is now a 97 overall. So his abilities are still clicking pretty well. His ratings are literally through the roof. I mean, he's almost perfect across the board in every major category that you honestly really care about. Throwing to pressure is not so great, but we're going to sim season 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 and see what he does over the course of the next 5 years. As we're entering Trevor Lawrence's 11th season, I want to give you guys an update in terms of what he's done through his season 6 through 10, and he's had some really good ones here. So if we go ahead and look at the all-time sort of legacy ranking, Drew Brees is at the top for players. You've also got Trevor Lawrence in here behind Joe Burrow currently, who has won those Super Bowls, but he has more MVPs. Trevor Lawrence now has 2 Super Bowls in total, 3 conference championships, and 5 yearly awards. To look at what his stats have been. Year number 6 was 3,200 yards passing, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. They finished 7-9, missed the playoffs. Season 7 was 3,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and lost in the wild card. Season number 8 was 4,300 yards passing, 38 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and lost in the divisional round. But he did win best NFL quarterback, so something of a, a throwaway award there. Season 9 was 3,700 yards passing, 36 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, so back in double digits for the first time in a while, but they lost in the Super Bowl to the Chicago Bears, so congrats Bears fans. And then in season 10, he gets 4,200 yards passing, second most of his career so far, 40 touchdowns, the most of his career so far, 10 interceptions, finishes 5th in the MVP voting, wins the Super Bowl against the Bears, and gets Super Bowl MVP. Not bad so far. Let's see what the end of his career looks like here, but so far he's had an incredible one. The day has finally come. After 18 seasons in the NFL, Trevor Lawrence has retired, but what does his career ultimately look like? Before we look at his accolades and what he ultimately did there, one thing we can say is that Madden does a really bad job of sort of stat tracking. The moment a player retires, you lose the complete ability to go back and look at what they actually did over their career, unless they broke some records, which we found Trevor Lawrence didn't do too bad. So from a passing yard standpoint, you got Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Lamar Jackson, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, and then right behind him, I mean really close behind Brett Favre, is Trevor Lawrence with 71,000 passing yards for his career. That's incredible. From a passing touchdown perspective, he did even better on the rankings list. So you got Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Drew Brees. Trevor Lawrence is right behind those guys. I mean, Tom Brady's significantly further ahead because he played for 2,000 years, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence did good. 602 is insane. So again, we saw how many yards Trevor Lawrence had for his entire career, but I found a loophole to actually see how many yards he ultimately had, or what he did essentially across each season. I mean, the kid had an unreal career. 40 touchdowns is probably his best season, I believe, over the course of his career. Insane numbers. Rushing, he probably racked up a little over maybe 1,500 if I had to guesstimate that one. If you look and see what he did for awards, he was a Pro Bowler 7 times in his career. Remember, he won the Super Bowl twice, so you could probably say 9 technically. He led the league in passer rating 3 times. 2032 Offensive Player of the Year, 2021 Offensive Rookie of the Year, best quarterback in 2032, 2028, and 2031. There is no MVP there, which is kind of crazy. And then to see where he ranks in terms of the all-time legacy leaderboard. So Drew Brees is your #1 guy, but you find Trevor Lawrence down here behind Ben Roethlisberger at 14,040 for his legacy score. Not bad, but again, 2 Super Bowls, 3 conference championships. So he did not win a conference title after year number 10, and then 12 yearly awards, which you guys just saw. An incredible career for Trevor Lawrence, but how do you think he did? Better or worse than your expectations? So again, that's it for Trevor Lawrence's career. 18 years in the league, 2 Super Bowls, 12 total awards, made the Pro Bowl a good amount of times. I mean, I would be pretty happy with that if I were him, but do you think he will ultimately do better in the NFL or worse in the NFL? I'd love to hear what you guys think. And if you have a recommendation for who the next player should be, let me know in the comments down below. I'll take some of your suggestions, put them in the next video, and we'll see who is the next player we simulate their entire career to see how they do. As always, if you enjoyed these videos, leave me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, hit that bell notification, and then let me know when you did, because honestly, that helps my ego out a little bit. That'll be it for Trevor Lawrence's career. I'll catch you guys on the next one.